all your school rugby, all in one place. This is Next Gen 15.
Alright guys, welcome to Next Gen 15, and in today's top 10 video we're going to be looking at the top 10 strongest rugby competitions in the world. If you are new to the channel, please don't forget to click that subscribe button as well as bell notification, and as soon as new videos are released you'll be the first to know. So let's get into the top 10. So we start off in 10th place of the National Schools and Colleges competition in Wales. Now the Welsh have a proud rugby history and have produced some of the world's greatest players. Although not as well documented as other countries in terms of high school rugby, the Welsh still managed to produce top tier talent, and the school system is very underrated. The National Schools and Colleges competition is a Wales Rugby Union endorsed competition involving the top youth teams in the country and is extremely competitive, with no one team dominating historically. Schools such as Coleg, Sir, Monmouth and Llandovery are examples of schools that play in this competition, and in future we certainly hope to be covering more of Welsh schools rugby. Coming in 9th place we have the MUNSTER School Senior Cup. Now this is one of Ireland's most prestigious competitions and it dates all the way back to 1909. The competition has been dominated by the two Cork rivals, Presentation Brothers and Christian Brothers, who between them have won 61 trophies. Munster contributes heavily to Irish schools teams and has produced many leading Irish internationals, with some of the famous names being Ronan O'Gara, Peter Stringer and more recently Conor Murray. Coming in 8th place we have the GPS competition in Australia. The Great Public Schools Association of Queensland competition, as it's known, dates back to 1918 and remains one of the toughest competitions not only in Australia but the world. Some of the fiercest schools rugby rivalries take part in this competition, with perhaps the most famous being the Battle of the Colours, with Nudgee taking on Gregory Terrace. The competition has been dominated by Nudgee College, having won 42 titles, followed by Anglican Church Grammar, or better known as Churchy, having 18 to their name. Many Wallabies have made their bones in this competition, with famous names including Michael Lynagh, David Pocock and Quade Cooper. Moving on to 7th place, we have the VERSEKER BEKER in South Africa. Now, unlike other major school playing nations, South Africa does not have many competitions in terms of school rugby. The competition, now known as the VERSEKER BEKER, has previously gone under the name A.G. Robertson Trophy and Beale Trophy, amongst others, and is one of the toughest competitions in the world. Contested by schools that are administered under the North Vaal Schools Association, some of the most recognisable schools in the world contest this competition, which held its first competition in 1922, which was won by Pretoria Boys High. Overall, the competition has been dominated by Uffies and Monument, with the pair having 27 trophies between them, but perhaps what makes this competition even more unique is that there are tournaments for not only the macro schools, but also large, medium and small schools competitions, which give it a true community feel. Famous names to have played in this tournament include Fourie du Preez, Pierre Spies and Jacques Fourie. In 6th place, we have the Super 8 in New Zealand. Now, many can argue that this could be the world's premier rugby school competition. However, it does not have the same history attached to it as other competitions, but this does not mean that there is not quality and abundance within this competition. The Super 8 schools is actually an association of boys' schools in the central North Island region of New Zealand and was established in 1997 due to a lack of competitions that these schools faced in their home region. Countless New Zealand schools and senior internationals have been produced by these schools, and they contribute heavily to age grade rugby in New Zealand. The first competition was won by Rotorua, but since has been dominated by one of the best in the world, Hamilton Boys, who have won the competition 8 straight times, with one of those wins being shared by Hastings Boys. 3 of the last 5 national champions have come from this region, and that just goes to show the strength of the competition. Seville Rees, Aaron Cruden and Liam Squire are but a few of the players who have made their name in this competition. At number 5 we have the LETNSTER School Senior Cup. Now, Irish rugby has undergone a renaissance in the 21st century, with a steady climb up the world rankings and numerous Six Nations titles along the way. Many in Ireland would say that the LETNSTER Senior Schools Cup has laid the foundation for the success they have found, and in our opinion they would be correct. The competition, one of the oldest in the world, began in 1887 with Blackrock College winning 3-0 against Farrar School. Since then, Blackrock College have dominated the competition, lifting the trophy 69 times, with Belvedere College in second place with 12 trophies. To name all the quality players who made their name in the competition will require its own video, but perhaps the most famous names would be Brian O'Driscoll, Johnny Sexton, and Leo Cullen. At fourth place, we have the AAGPS in Australia. Now, this is one of the big two Australian competitions, with the other being the GPS we discussed earlier. And this competition takes place between some of the best rugby schools in the country, made up of teams from Sydney, who are members of the Athletic Association of Grades Public Schools of New South Wales. The first competition dates all the way back to 1892, with the winners being Kings Parramatta, who would go on to take home the first 4 trophies in the competition. Historically, however, the dominant team has been without doubt St. Joseph Hunters Hill, who have taken home 56 trophies, with Kings in second with 29. The amount of Wallabies that have been produced in this tournament are too many to count, but names you may recognise include Curtly Beale, Sterling Mortlock, and Nick Farr-Jones. In third place, we have the Daily Mail Trophy in England. Now, there are many prestigious tournaments in England, such as the St. Joseph's Festival and the Rosslyn Park Sevens, but this tournament is no doubt the one most English schools would be gunning for. England, very much like South Africa, does not have regional or national championships with the historical pedigree of other nations, but if there was a go-to competition to determine the strongest school in the country, the Daily Mail Cup would be it. The tournament is based on fixtures played between schools in the autumn season and is based on a rankings formula which determines the quality of opposition played over a season. For many, this is the go-to ranking system for English schools rugby, and winners are awarded the Sox Trophy. The last season's winners were Cranley, breaking Sedberg's multi-year dominance of the competition. The competition's only been around since 2013, but there is little doubt that in the future many leading internationals would have come through. In second place, we have the Western Cape Schools League in South Africa. Now, although not an official competition, there is little doubt that the Western Cape Schools League is a competition in the minds of the players and spectators alike. The Western Cape has long been a breeding ground for the top talent in the country, with Western Province being dominant at Craven Week level since the competition's inception. The who's who of school rugby in South Africa goes head-to-head in this unofficial league, with school rugby teams from the Winelands region such as Paul Jim, Paul Boys, Boland Landbou and Paul Rus having fierce derbies, and the historical derbies of the southern suburb schools Bishops, Wynberg, Saxe and Rondebosch adding much strength to the competition. To list all the players who have competed in these derbies would take too long, but for perspective, 14 members of the World Cup winning Springbok squad schooled in the area. And finally, in first place, we have the Auckland 1A from New Zealand. Now, you can argue that New Zealand have historically been the dominant rugby nation, and even more so in the 21st century. And if there is a true feeder system for New Zealand rugby, it has to be the Auckland 1A competition, almost universally accepted as the strongest school rugby competition in New Zealand. 23 of the 38 national champions have hailed from the Auckland area, and 149 All Blacks have been born in Auckland, far and away the most in the nation. With top-tier names such as Auckland Grammar, King's College, Mag, Sacred Heart, St. Kitts and Carlton to name a few competing week in and week out, the tournament is without doubt brutal, with very few easy matches along the way. To name the players who have made their name in this tournament would require its own video, but to put it in perspective, the amount of talent that has gone through this tournament, consider that 8 Hall of Famers have gone through this competition. If you appreciated this video, please don't forget to smash that like button, and if you have not yet, get with the program and click that subscribe button as well as bell notification. While you're here, if you're interested in more quality content, why not head over to our website, www.nextgen15.com. That's www.nextgenxv.com. Cheers.